This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. It is August 22nd, 2021. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Luke Sylvia. Luke, what's going on, man?
I'm still riding high off of getting to speak with George Karl the other day, Jonathan, to be completely honest with you.
Called you a softie, Luke.
He did call me a softie, but it's George Karl, so he can call me whatever. It doesn't matter to me at this point.
Yeah, that was incredible. It was just like people that, don't really listen to the podcast all that much, like in my personal life, have been texting me and commenting and saying like, "Oh my God, you guys got George Karl. That's amazing." Like, George Karl is the sixth winningest coach in NBA history.
Yeah.
He coached against Michael freaking Jordan in the 1996 NBA Finals.
Yep.
And he was on our podcast, Luke.
Yeah,
and it
was incredible, man. It was
really
insane.
Was. So if you guys haven't checked that out, we released that episode a couple days ago. We talked to George Karl about, his new passion in podcasting with, the Truth Plus Media, podcast network that he has. We talked some Orlando Magic basketball. Obviously, we talked about his career, kind of what he's up to these days. So if you guys, go and check that out, I think you guys will really get a kick out of that. Luke, I think we got our answer because we thought that in 2015 that he was kind of, using us to get to Sacramento. And he basically said that, like, really without coming out and saying it. He's like, oh, well, when the Orlando job opened, Sacramento got really aggressive. Yeah, I wonder why, because you're sitting here tweeting out how interested you are in the job and how much you'd like to coach them.
I think it further confirms how much I would use Twitter to my advantage if I was a coach, a player, whether it was just to tweet out like cryptic emojis or whatever it might be around free agency time and any time, right? Like I'd be all over Twitter, and I mean whatever. Coach Karl, he used it.
What is your favorite like NBA Twitter moment of all time? If you could like put your finger on it. For me, it's the whole DeAndre Jordan, Dallas Mavericks, Clippers fiasco. Like, that was one of the best times in the history of Twitter to be on the app in real time.
It has to be. I mean, other than that, it's just they
kidnapped that man in his own home.
Yeah,
and didn't let him out to sign with the Mavericks.
The other ones, I mean, there's so many good NBA moments as far as Twitter goes, man. Anytime, I mean, finding out Kevin Durant was using a burner, that is, as far as NBA Twitter moments, that's gotta be my favorite.
Yeah, the moments when like you just know that everyone is on the app and everyone is seeing things unfolding in real time. Like, I know obviously the NFL is the most popular sport here in the U.S., but I just love that the NBA has that and no other sport does. The way that just everybody collectively reacts to events happening in real time. But anyways, we just wanted to say thank you guys. For those of you that listen each week, you might have heard that we launched a new NBA and variety show on Thursdays that we're calling Shoot the Shot. Again, we're just talking high level NBA stuff all across the league, stories, rumors, but we're also talking about whatever else we want. Like this week we talked about what video games we're playing at this moment. So we're going to continue to do that, but we just got so much support on that first episode. Really, really appreciate you guys, tuning into that. And, if you liked it, tell your friends. Even if they're not Magic fans, they can come in and listen. So just wanted to say thank you so much for that. So without further ado, some of you might be listening to this to find out who won the Cole Anthony jersey. And I decided I'm keeping it for myself. No, I'm totally kidding. Yeah. No, Luke's good. Luke's good with that.
Yeah.
No, I got that comment quite a few times. Like, bro, if I was you, I'd be keeping it. Like, you're a better man than me. Or somebody tweeted like, you're trying to get rid of all of your, Cole Anthony stuff because he had a couple bad summer league games. I'm like, you know how bad I just want to keep this jersey for myself and not give it away. But so yeah, I think we're up to 1,294 subscribers now. Everybody that entered, whether you were subscribed previously or not. I think we got like close to 300 or 400 subscribers from this, so that's amazing. Thank you guys again so much for your support. But yeah, like I said, without further ado, the winner of the Cole Anthony signed jersey is from the YouTube channel, the Gubstown Clink. I don't know if I said that correctly, but if you are the Gubstown Clink, please comment on this video so that we can get, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, email us wherever. Get in contact with us so we can get your information and get that jersey sent out as soon as possible. So congratulations. Sorry to everybody that didn't win.
I didn't,
but
win,
we're gonna.
So,
we
feel
I don't
your
care
pain.
about that, but no, that's all right. No, but seriously, thank you guys so much. We'll continue to do giveaways in the future, so keep your eyes out on the lookout for that. So this week, guys, the schedule came out Friday. We're recording this Saturday, so it came out yesterday, basically. We're going to break down the schedule. We've got a couple of things that we wanted to cover really quickly. So, Luke, this week on the T. Ross podcast, Potsy and T. Ross were talking about how the Magic have a new player development coach, and this wasn't reported anywhere else. So the news was broke on the T. Ross podcast that Courtney Lee, who was a rookie in the 2008-2009 season, was a big part of that run of the Magic going to the finals. Everyone knows, he missed the layup there in game one, which was goaltended, by the way. You're not allowed to touch the net or the rim, during a shot attempt. Pau Gasol committed a goal, goaltending there. And, the Magic should have won that game. But anyways, Luke, Courtney Lee, player development coach, now for the Orlando Magic. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great hire. I mean, you talk about veteran presence in the locker room that, is needed. I mean, this is a guy who, wearing the very jerseys that, our guys are wearing, is able to, speak into those guys' lives about, here's, how it went with in 2009 and here's what it'll take. And so I think it'll be a huge addition for the team as a whole for chemistry, and bringing him in from the outside like that. T. Ross made a funny point. He was like, it's just been so weird. A guy that I just played against, I think 2 seasons ago now, is leading me in like shooting drills and like helping me get better. It's just really weird. A guy that you play across from for so many years is now back, and he's now helping coach. So I think it's a great hire. I think that we're seeing more and more of guys get involved directly after their time in the NBA. Tim Duncan being one of those guys who has really been in the forefront of the Spurs staff here since he retired. So really, really cool. I'm all for those guys, getting plugged in directly, right after their time in the NBA. I think that they've got time to, things to offer. George Karl talked about this when it came to Jamal Mosley, that Jamal Mosley came so quick onto the staff, like after playing internationally, that he was able to get out on the court with the guys and play. So I think it's a huge thing as well for a guy like Courtney to come in and use not only his knowledge, but be able to practice with the guys, which is what Jamal Mosley really enjoys, is getting out on the court still, even to this day. So I think it'll be a really good addition for the team.
I don't know if Courtney Lee coming back to the team says more about the Orlando Magic organization. We're talking about a kid, 23 years old, spent 1 season, was traded to the Nets, that following offseason in the trade for Vince Carter. So he has a, pretty long NBA career.
Yeah.
And now he's come back to the first team that he was ever with. Or does it say more about Jamal Mosley?
Right.
Because the last couple of seasons,
Yeah.
Courtney Lee was in Dallas with Jamal Mosley and is now on the staff. So obviously, things have kind of come full circle for Courtney Lee. It's got to be cool for him to be back in the building.
Yeah.
Well, really, he never played in the Amway Center,
Right.
but back within the organization.
Yeah.
And he's with Jamal Mosley again. So I think that just speaks to the Magic and to Jamal Mosley. I think it's really great. Like you said, I love the hire. A guy who really just finished up his career. The Magic almost like got another veteran, like circumventing the salary cap by getting him onto the roster, the staff, I should say, as a player development coach. So, we're all like, oh man, we've got all these young guys. What are we going to do? We've got Terrence Ross and Gary Harris, and we've got Robin Lopez. And now like Courtney Lee is just one of the, in my opinion, even if we sign him to the roster, which probably wouldn't have been a great move, but we just would have been like, oh, we just got another veteran guy, and now you have that on the coaching staff. So I really, really think that's dope. And then just something cool we wanted to talk about really quickly. Luke, did you watch the T. Ross Cribs video that the T. Ross podcast or he put on his YouTube channel?
No, yeah, I actually just pulled it up. But yeah, it's just on like I guess it's personal, just Terrence Ross.
Yeah.
But no, but I will say I haven't gotten around to watching it. I actually had plans to watch it with Lauren. Lauren probably appreciates that stuff way more than I do, and in terms of homes and stuff like that. So I was probably just going to show it to her and watch it with her for the first time.
Well, you know, MTV Cribs before your time.
That's true.
I totally get that.
Yeah, definitely. But I will say I would love for every NBA player to give us a house tour and just post it on their YouTube. Take them. I mean, the video with T. Ross's was like 5 minutes. Obviously, it was edited and there was more footage than that, but couldn't have been too much more. I mean, just get these NBA guys out there on YouTube. Most of them feel like already are. JaVale McGee, guys like that, are really kind of taking advantage of all social media platforms at this point. But I would love to see all the house tours. Give me all of them.
Yeah, I think it's really dope. He just built a new house. He mentions in the video that his wife, really had a pretty heavy hand in, designing everything he's got. Obviously it's a gigantic, beautiful home. He's got his own, basketball court in the backyard. He's got his own like little nature walk path that he takes back to the lake, and they have their own dock there. The closet, just absolutely stupid. Like that was one of the things that really stood out to me, is just like, you don't really realize how broke you are until you see like an NBA player's closet, and you're like, my goodness,
it's the size
just
of
the amount
your
of shoes.
room.
It's literally the size of the room that I'm currently living in while we wait for our new home to be finished. But yeah, like the closet, just absolutely ridiculous. 2 garages completely separate, like one that his wife parks in, one that he parks in. Just yeah, really
Are they
nice
both
to be
attached,
Terrence
or
Ross.
is one attached and one detached?
That I couldn't really tell that from the video. But just sick house. Like he has like a sick like home entertainment area where he's got like the ping pong table and like the little, looks like a home theater setup, and he's got the bar back there, then nice big like patio with like the grill area, and he's got the pool and everything. Just nice to have NBA type of money. Like
Absolutely.
Cole Anthony says, it's hard to hide money, ain't it?
It's hard to hide
You know what I'm
money,
saying?
ain't it? Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, just super dope. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll talk about the schedule here, Luke. So the NBA released the NBA schedule for all 30 teams Friday at 3:00. First thing, obviously, that everybody's going to notice is the first game of the season. So the Magic, I think it's the last 4 or like 5 out of the last 6 seasons, something like that, have started the season at home. And I tweeted a few days ago that it felt like we were due, just because of that fact, to open on the road, and we are. The first game of the season is going to be October 20th at the San Antonio Spurs. That game will start at 8:30 Eastern time, and then the Magic will have one day off to travel back home. And then that Friday, October 22nd, Luke, they're playing the Knicks at home at 7:00 Eastern. So Evan Fournier and Dwayne Bacon, welcome back to Amway. It's going to be, I'm excited for the Knicks. Obviously, the Magic aren't expected to be very good this season, so I'm trying to find other teams around the league that I can just kind of keep my eye on and see how they're doing. Going to be rooting for the Knicks because of Evan, and the Bulls because of Vooch. So yeah, be paying attention to that.
You're going to be rooting for the Nuggets because of AG?
No, I didn't say that. No, I specifically mentioned the Knicks and the Bulls for those two guys.
Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah. So I think we haven't really talked about this too much amongst ourselves, but we'll probably be doing something. Maybe the first game, and then like the away game.
You talking watch party or something?
Maybe watch party or something like that, and then we'll do like a pregame thing, probably at Harry Buffalo.
Right.
For the Knicks game, and then, walk over there and everything like that. So we're going to get into some of the intricacies of the schedule and kind of how things broke for the Magic, and kind of what we think of that. So the Magic, just to get this out in the open now, are expected to have either the toughest or the second toughest strength of schedule in the entire league, perhaps behind Oklahoma City. It depends on where you look. Some sites have us as number 1, some sites have us number 2. But basically, the Magic, 18 of the first 28 games are going to be on the road this season. The Magic will have 15 back-to-backs. This one I thought was pretty interesting. So a couple seasons ago, the 18-19 season, a lot of you will remember heading into that Valentine's game against the Charlotte Hornets. I think we had lost something like 13 in a row, something crazy like that, to the Charlotte Hornets It was Steve Cliff's, I think, first time coaching back in Charlotte after being hired by the Magic. And that was when the Magic had just really started to put together that 22-9 run after being down like 10 or 11 games under 500. Go 22-9, finish the season 42-40. That game, there were points in that game, we were up by 30, I think even 40 on the Charlotte Hornets. Carmen and I, my wife, we were out to dinner for Valentine's Day that night, and I had my phone on the table watching the game. My wife was totally into the game, just so you all know. Don't think I'm some kind of jerk that I'm ignoring my wife during Valentine's dinner. Like, she wanted to watch the game. Let's just get that out in the open first. But I have affectionately referred to that game as the Valentine's Day Massacre. This year, we might have a new Valentine's Day Massacre, but not in our favor. So Valentine's Day, February 14th, we play at Denver, okay? Josh Robbins, I think, pointed out it's the first time in like 3 years that our away game at Denver is not the second night of a back-to-back. However, this year, it is our third game in four nights, which I think is a little bit worse. It's the end of a week-long West Coast road trip, okay? And it is the second to last game before the All-Star break. So the Magic play February 14th in Denver. We come home, we're off for 1 day. Then we play Atlanta at home, and then it's the All-Star break.
Love that. Glad they could do that for us.
A little bit later, we'll talk about December and how the month of December looks for the Magic. But, like,
spoiler,
the Magic really
it's
could
not
be
good.
well out of playoff contention by the All-Star break.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are expecting
How soon, by looking at the schedule, do you think it's December, or do you think it's earlier that we've got the Twitter tankers in full force? And we're already trying to burn each other to the ground.
I'm already in jest using the hashtag win0 for Blanchero. Paolo Blanchero or Blanchero. I have to change the pronunciation of the name to make it rhyme with
Blanchero.
zero, obviously.
I gotcha, yeah.
But he's going to be playing at Duke this year. If you guys have not watched any, I cannot believe we're already talking about freaking draft prospects. The draft was a month ago, and here we are again. But if you seriously, draft aside, whatever. If you have not watched highlights on Paolo Blanchero, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Go and do that, because the kid looks like he has like Jalen Green's skill set in Jonathan Kuminga's body. It's really honestly pretty crazy. So he's already mocked to be number 1 in next year's draft. So no, I think like heading into the new year, we're like, all right, this season's over, because obviously we're expected to not be very good. I think we'll have some hope, through the last couple of weeks of November and into October, and then the month of November we'll be talking ourselves into things, especially if Jonathan Isaac and Markelle are back and they're looking really good. But December is just such a freaking gauntlet. Like, it's honestly ridiculous. I think we said there were, 15 or 18 games in the month of December. I lost count here.
15, I think,
but
yeah.
15 games, and there are 3 games where we're playing against teams who will probably not be playoff teams. So it's really, really a gauntlet. We'll get to that really in just a moment here.
Yeah. You know what? Where I'm at, Jonathan, the point that I'm at about this schedule is, growing up, my dad still says this to me. He says to me all the time, if I've got, long hours at work or, whatever it might be, he says, it's all right, you're young. I think that the NBA looked at this roster with the Magic and said, tied for, if not the youngest team in the league, it's okay. They're young. Give them all the back-to-backs. Give them the toughest schedule. They don't want to be that good anyway this year, right? Let's just pile it on and RIP the Orlando Magic. That's what it feels like.
It might feel like this season might be rigged for the Magic to tank again. We had a lot of luck with Jalen Suggs falling to us at 5, but everyone knows that this, by all accounts, was like a 3-player draft with Cade at the top, and then Jalen Green, Evan Mobley. Now, the more that we see about Jalen Suggs, I kind of want to push him into that conversation, be like, yo, you're forgetting our boy here. Now that we've got that Orlando Magic biased, and he looks so great in summer league.
Well, we're mocked another Jalen next year, by the way, in some places. So,
who is this fella? I don't know many draft prospects.
So he's a center.
Early.
He's a center. He's 6'10". His name's Jalen Duren. He reclassified recently, and is going to play at Memphis. So
okay,
Penny could be gifting us a big man next year this time around.
We shall
named
see.
Jalen. So we're just going to get a full starting lineup of Jalen's, or at least J names. Jonathan Isaac.
People are going to be
Suggs.
so annoyed listening to this podcast. Like the anti-tankers are going to be so annoyed. We're not talking about tanking yet, folks. But
we're
one
of you guys. Don't realistic. Worry. We're anti-tankers as well. I like to be prepared. You know,
as Luke likes to remind Kevin and I in group chat all the time, he is being, in all caps, realistic with a space in between each letter.
Space between each letter, realistic. Yeah, I'm not pessimistic. I'm realistic.
Extra emphasis. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one more thing, and again, a lot of this we've gotten from Josh Robbins' commentary on the schedule. So if this sounds familiar, because you think you've seen it before, it's because you have, from Josh Robbins, because he's amazing. And if you guys aren't following him on Twitter, follow him on Twitter, because you already would have known all this stuff that we're saying now. But the Magic play the defending champ Milwaukee Bucks 4 times this season. But each time it's kind of like an MLB series. So the first 2 times we play them will be in Milwaukee, November 20th and 22nd, consecutive games. And then the 28th and 30th, which will be consecutive games for the Magic. So if you follow the MLB, or unless you live under a rock, you know how MLB series works, where they play the same teams, 3 or 4 times, in a row, mainly because of travel, because they play so many games. But I think that's cool, and that is something that I wish the NBA had, because it just adds like a little extra element to, playing the team over and over again. In the NBA, maybe you can figure them out. It's kind of like a mini playoff series, in the middle of the year. I don't think they will do that for obvious reasons, but I do think that would be pretty cool. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll get more into depth on this schedule and kind of more of the intricacies here. Attention, listeners across the galaxy. All the way from Australia to Houston, do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code SIXTH. That's code SIXTH, manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping.
And ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped that has just taken off in not only the USA, but Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe.
So get 20% off plus free shipping with the code SIXTH at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code SIXTH, SIXTH, at manscaped.com. For a clean Trinity and beyond, your space balls will thank you. All right, Luke, so we've talked about kind of how the season is going to start, some of the quirks to the schedule. I want to talk, more about like towards the end of the season. So we know that we start the season October 20th at the Spurs at 8:30. But towards the end of the schedule, the Magic play 11 out of their last 15 games at home. So we start the season 18 of 20 on the road. We're going to finish the season 11 out of 15 at home. Those road games should be sort of manageable. We play Oklahoma City, Cleveland, Washington, Charlotte. Those are going to be the last 4 road games in the last 15 there. And then Sunday, April 10th, is going to be the last game of the season at home versus Miami, which traditionally for the Magic, that last home game is usually fan appreciation night.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I guess I wish it was more evenly distributed, that the first 18 of 28 games weren't on the road, and then at the end of the year, the last 11 of 15 are at home. It's like, and I'm sure the Magic don't like that either, especially from like a ticket standpoint. It's like you're getting all these home games, in a row here, but your team record is probably not going to be great. I bet Orlando's probably thinking NBA is not doing us any favors ticket-wise, because if you would have at least started us at home, we would have young, exciting players start us more games at home than the freaking amount of road games they've got. I mean, they've got to be a little irritated by that.
Well, that's a great point because I think the way that the league, put together the Magic schedule, particularly, it does seem intentional to the point that we have the most games in the league this season, 18, where we're coming off of 2 days rest. Last year, people talk about the truncated season and they talk about all the injuries that the Magic had, but the Magic had the least amount of rest in the season last year, just in terms of days off before games. So when you talk about that, they start the season when excitement is going to be really at an all-time high for the season, and it's 18 of the first 28 games are on the road. So that's potential where the Magic could be, getting some box office money. And then the end of the year, like you said, where they're probably going to be out of playoff contention. Then we have this huge stretch, 11 of 15 at home. So they were like, okay, well, we kind of screwed them over with rest last season, so we're going to help them a little bit this season, but we're not going to do them any favors by starting off the season on the road, ending the season at home. Yeah. But Luke, the month, looking at the schedule, the month that I really want to break down and talk about is December. Like December is honestly just a bear of a schedule. So when we talk about December, and I'm going to go through the entire month here because it's honestly a gauntlet. So the first day of December, Wednesday the 1st, we're at home for Denver. Then we're on the road at Houston.
Oh, just want to stop you real quick, Jonathan.
Manageable games of the month.
Want to stop you here. Before December, you've got November 29th. You're playing at Philadelphia, by the way. So, and then before that, you've got a little baseball, format with Milwaukee. So, cheers, I guess. By the way, okay, continue.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can just talk about that. Like the whole, really, November and December. Like if we want to run through November really quickly, it's at Minnesota.
This whole schedule sucks, is what we're saying.
The whole thing sucks. My mic just clipped so bad. I know it did. At Minnesota, home for Boston, San Antonio, Utah, Brooklyn, Washington, at Atlanta, at New York, at Brooklyn, at Milwaukee, versus Charlotte, versus Chicago, at Cleveland, at Philadelphia.
Cheers.
We might go through November and December and have like a total of 6 wins between those 2 months. Because all right, let's get into December. So obviously, you finish out November 29th at Philadelphia, and then you start December versus Denver at home, at Houston, then at Golden State, at Sacramento, at LA Clippers, at LA Lakers, home for Atlanta, home for Miami, at Brooklyn, at Toronto, at Atlanta, home for New Orleans, at Miami, home for Milwaukee, home for Milwaukee. Oh, and then you start January at Boston, at Chicago, home for Philadelphia.
That's really good. I'm glad that they're doing all this.
I need to look up the odds for the Magic going like 0 in November, December, and to start the new year. I want to see the odds on that because, like, statistically speaking, we're gonna pick up a game there.
Yeah.
But if we're like plus 800 to not win a single game in those months, like I'm putting $100 on that.
You're gonna
easily. Just because that would be great odds. The schedule is super rough.
It's going to come down to what team is doing a little bit of load management action. You're just gonna have to hope for that, and you might have to hope for it all year. This is all of a sudden a really negative episode. Oh my goodness, man. Oh boy, that's so bad, man.
The good news is though, like after the All-Star break, the schedule really does let up, obviously, because at that point, we've played Brooklyn multiple times, we've played, Milwaukee multiple times. Like the schedule has no choice but to get easier for us at that point. But
yeah.
I mean, let's
take
a step back here.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you. I wanted to ask the return of Vooch, obviously, November 26th. Are you trying to go to that game then?
Okay.
Are you trying to go?
You're putting me on the spot. You're putting me on the spot.
I'm just
wondering.
Listen,
no.
You don't have to tell me anything besides the fact of are you trying to go, Jonathan? That's all I want to know.
Now that we've made this weird, now I have to get into the whole thing, and I don't appreciate you putting me on the spot.
My apologies.
So yes, I'm trying to go to that Chicago game. I've never in my entire life had floor seats to any game.
Yeah.
November 26th, Chicago. The Bulls will be in Orlando. That's going to be Vooch's first game back in Orlando. I've never been I've never been to a game where I had floor seats, so I am going to try to be at that game, and I'm trying to get floor seats for that game just because I've walked down on the floor once during a game back in the 15-16 season when the Warriors went 73-9.
Yeah.
The one game where the Warriors were in Orlando, that's the game that I went to sign for my season tickets for the following season. So my ticket rep at the time was nice enough to bring us down to the floor level during the game.
Yeah.
And I've just never experienced anything like that in my life. Like, you know how big these guys are, but watching Aaron Gordon try to post up Draymond Green, I felt like I was watching like the Clash of the Titans. Like, just seeing how big these guys were and how just, physical and strong they are. Like, as a kid, you're like, you know what, maybe if I was good enough, like I could be in the NBA. Maybe if I was like 3 inches taller, I could be in the NBA. And then that was the night that I realized if I went on that floor and caught an elbow to the head, I would be dead.
It's over.
That would be the end of me. It would be the end of the 6-man show. My wife, would be a widower. My kid, or she would be a widow. I think is the correct term for that. My kids would be fatherless. Like, it would really be a bad time for the Osborne household. And that was the day that I realized that there's no chance in my entire life that I was ever going to be an NBA player.
Yeah, stick to pick
all
up.
those times on the blacktop in the summer, playing through scenarios in my head, hitting the goal, the game-winning shot for the Orlando Magic, Game 7 of the NBA Finals. All of that was just like Spider-Man in in Infinity War. Just, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good, and then just turning into dust.
Yeah,
and
that's all that was.
Dissipating. That was my NBA dreams in that
so
moment.
you want to feel
happening.
your NBA dreams get crushed again, but in a better light because you're going to be watching.
No, now I have the
play.
realization.
Oh, okay.
Now I have the realization. Those dreams are already dead. But yes, I am going to try to be at that Chicago game. I would love if I'm able to get floor seats. I've been saving up for it basically since he was traded. So I'm excited for that. So I am going to plan on being at that game. But before that, obviously, I'll be at the home opener. I think this is going to be my wife and I's 9th home opener in a row. Basically, since we got together, like we've been at every home opener. So really looking forward to that. But I want to step back a little bit because we've been so negative on this podcast about the schedule. And this is what I'll say, because we were on the Pick a Side podcast. If you guys haven't checked that out, go to their YouTube, go to their Twitter, check out that episode. It was a lot of fun to hang out with those guys. And, we were talking, with those guys. I don't know if it was on air or off air, but kind of like how everything could fall for the Magic for them to maybe be in play-in contention. And, like, for me, it's if Jonathan Isaac comes back for training camp and he's 100% healthy, which we can talk about this also, which I'm getting a little bit concerned about, is people, and I think it's really baseless because I haven't seen any reports or any information about this. People are all of a sudden getting concerned that Jonathan is just not going to be ready for the start of the season, and that would be like 14 or 15 months at that point post ACL injury. Usually it's like a 9 to 12 month recovery. I understand he was coming off 9. Yeah, exactly. And people are like, oh, well, Markelle might come back at the start of the season and Jonathan might not. That is concerning if that is the case for me. But I think it's baseless because I don't know where people are getting this. I really, really don't understand. Like, by all accounts, the rehab is going great. There haven't been any setbacks, unless the Magic are just being insanely conservative with him, which would make sense because, they've been very conservative with guys in the past, especially, he came back off of a, pretty serious knee injury and like 2-3 weeks later tore his ACL. So that might be the case. But if J.I. comes back for training camp, he's healthy, ready to go, especially if the offensive game is like on point the way that it was in the bubble. If Markelle Fultz comes back and, he is ready to go and, looks pretty close to 100%. And then, it really just depends on Jalen Suggs, how he's going to look his rookie year. And then how guys like, Cole and Chuma and RJ and Wendell and Mo. Like, if Mo comes back and is legitimately competing for the starting center spot, like, that's really good for the Magic because when Wendell was healthy last year, he was like a serviceable starting center in the league. So if Mo has gotten that much better in the offseason, that's going to do wonders for the Magic. It's going to do wonders for our depth. There is a road for the Magic to be a relatively competitive next season and win something like 30 games, maybe 35 games, like best case scenario, I think. And at that point, maybe they're in contention for the play-in tournament. I know there are teams in the Eastern Conference that got significantly better this year. Like if LaMelo Ball doesn't miss a lot of time last year, Charlotte makes the playoffs. Things like that. Teams are going to get better. Teams are getting healthy again. Them missing Gordon Hayward, for stretches last season. That was a big deal. So I know it's far-fetched, the Magic possibly competing for the play-in, but let's take a step back, Luke. Like, do you think there's a legitimate possibility that the Magic are, more competitive than, especially we've talked about so far on this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a utopian world where the Magic are far better is the operative word here. Far better than we've been talking about.
Utopian sounds like a backhanded compliment.
Well, it's a perfect world, and in this perfect world, the Magic are far better.
Everything breaks the right way.
Yes, I mean, this is a team that had, the worst injury luck in the league last year, I'd say, and I'm hoping our luck just completely turns around. But yeah. So I think that if the core stays healthy, you're a deep team. You're a deep team. Yes, there is no superstar, but you're a deep team. So if one guy goes out this year, I think we are better equipped to have someone be the next man up and not suffer, at the hands of Chase and Randall at point guard. So I think that they're in a far better,
God help us,
far better position this year. I mean, just kind of looking at the standings and everything, and I'm sure we'll have, plenty of time this offseason to really get into it, but I do think that there is a path where the Magic stay healthy, like they did a couple seasons ago when they made the playoffs for the first time in 7-8 years. I think that they're, if you can stay perfectly healthy, I think you can compete for that 9 or 10 spot.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be hoping. And a lot of these things, like I said, are going to be contingent around what is Jonathan Isaac's offensive game. I almost said Jonathan Osborne, because obviously that's my name, and I'm an idiot.
Game,
What is hey, in the NBA, I'm just jacking 30-footers and praying to God that one goes in. No, Jonathan Isaac's offensive game, how Markelle looks, how Jalen Suggs, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys have looked at Rookie of the Year odds. Last I looked, Jalen Suggs was plus 800. So I think like $150 wins you like $12.75 or something like that. So I went in on that with a couple of buddies, both each threw in like $50 a piece. Jalen Suggs at plus 800. I really like those odds. Luke, do we want to have a little gambling sidebar here? What do you think of his odds of winning Rookie of the Year in general? And then what do you think of like the plus 800? I'll pull up Bovada and see what they are now.
Yeah. Pull up Bovada real quick and see.
Don't gamble, kids.
Don't gamble. But if you do, we're gonna look at the odds here real quick. Yeah, I'm actually just looking it up too right now. 2022 NBA awards. Yep, Rookie of the Year. Okay, Suggs actually is plus 650 now. He's ahead. He jumped Mobley.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm glad I got in.
It's Cade, Jalen Green, then Jalen Suggs.
Okay.
Now Mobley's plus 800.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that is more of a Vegas's reaction to Summer League, or do you think that so many people saw that plus 800 and enough money moved those odds?
I think Vegas helped. And I think that enough people are jumping on board because of Vegas with those plus 800 odds, and it's driving the number.
When we say you can't just say Vegas, because when you usually talk about Vegas, you're talking about like odds makers. Are you talking about the Summer League, or are you talking about odds makers?
What do you mean?
So when you say Vegas helped, do you mean his Summer League performance helped, or do you think that
no. Summer League in Vegas helped?
Thank you. That's what I figured, but people that are more astute are going to be like, what does he mean by that?
No, nothing fishy.
So you think it's more his performance than Vegas seeing everybody bet at 800 and now they're lowering the odds?
I mean, I think it all couples together. I think that his Summer League drove a lot of people. I mean, people are all over, future bets like this, awards and stuff like that, and always looking at it. I mean, there's a Tima's on here, by the way. plus
Plus
8,000
10,000?
plus 8,000.
Oh,
So if we're putting 50 on Tima, we're winning 4K, which by the way doesn't seem like enough for me to even
No, it's
consider
really
putting that
not.
on there.
No way.
Like usually odds are pretty convincing. That's not worth it.
No.
Yeah, so Suggs is now plus 650. So you put 50 on him now, you get 325 in return. I mean, if you have
Really not.
if you
Still
have
not
the
bad
money,
odds.
ladies and gentlemen,
If you have the expendable income.
if it is not going to, ruin your finances,
Yes.
put $1, $2.
If you have an addictive personality, please stay away from gambling.
It's true. It's true.
If you know someone who is having addictions to gambling, what is it? 1-800.
1-800.
What's the gambling?
I don't know. They say it on
I'm looking it up right now.
on everything. But yeah, I mean that's interesting. Third best odds, which I mean I'm looking at this.
If you're in Florida and you know someone that is struggling with gambling addiction, it's 888 admit it for the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling. We're not even like obligated to say that, and we're still telling you guys.
Yeah.
Don't be degenerates.
Yeah, so just so
Be
you guys
responsible.
Just so you guys know, before we wrap up here, Jonathan, I'll kind of give a list of those rookie of the year in order of their best odds, right? Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Şengün is next, Book Knight, Mitchell Kuminga, Giddey, Franz Wagner is after Giddey.
What's Franz's odds? Like
Plus 3,000.
Oh, I hit that on the
You did.
right on the money. I'm not even looking at it.
He's got better odds than Jalen Johnson. He's got better odds than Moses Moody. Moses Moody's just going to blend in Golden State and do the right things. But
yeah,
Corey Kispert, Chris Duarte.
What are the odds on that top Jalen and Cade? What are the odds at?
Cade is plus 250, and
really?
Jalen Green is plus 300.
Plus 300.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think at that point, if you're betting on Cade in that regard, if you're betting on Cade, especially because it does seem like that's a really safe bet. If you're betting Cade, you're essentially betting the fact that he's not going to get injured, because it just feels like he's definitely got him and Jalen Green. Obviously,
you know what though? If we start talking about situational, I like Jalen Green's odds better. Like even if we're in a vacuum,
well, Jalen Green's got the better, yeah.
Like he's going to be given the ball like from day one, where like Cade, like they have Killian Hayes, like Houston has Kevin Porter Jr., but they don't have as much invested into Kevin Porter Jr. as the
Kevin Porter Jr. was in the
Pistons
G League
do.
last year, so
yeah, exactly. And I'm not trying to take away from him as good of a player, but we're just talking about assets that you gave up. I think whether they trade like a second round pick, for Kevin Porter Jr. The Pistons took Killian Hayes like I think 7th last year in the draft, first round. So, I mean, but they also have him there. They still have Jerian Grant, who, like, when you're talking about Jerian Grant and Christian Wood, like, those are both really, really good players. I don't know if I'd be ready to say one is significantly better than the other. But, like, Jerian Grant was super efficient last year offensively. And I don't know if he's going to be ready to totally give that mantle up to Cade. Cade also seems like the guy that is going to be more willing to be, like, a team-first guy and just make the right plays, where Jalen is very much, I mean, you can just tell by his recent comments, he very much wants to prove that he's the best player in this draft, and he's just like, all right, it's my night. I'm going to go and get 30 or 40 tonight. Yeah, I guarantee Jalen Green scores 40 in a game this year.
Yeah, there's people right now that are like, did he just say Jerian Grant or Jeremy Grant? My friend Jonathan meant to say Jeremy Grant.
I said Jerian.
Yes, you said Jerian.
Jerian
Magic
Grant,
flashbacks.
Orlando Magic legend.
That's right.
Here's a fun fact about Jerian Grant. There is on Fanatics Authentic, where you can buy like signed sports memorabilia. Mm-hmm. There's been a Jerian Grant signed basketball on that site for like 3 years now for $70.
Lower
and
the price,
it's still
guy.
there.
Lower the price, my boy.
$70. If you are a big Jerian Grant fan, you can go and get that. My apologies to Jeremy Grant.
Yes.
My apologies to Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
That's why I have Luke here to catch my.
Well, I just know that there's
Freudian
people
slips.
listening, and they're just like,
Are like,
you know,
what the hell?
what is he
Jerry and
talking
Grant
about?
sucks.
right.
No offense, either of the Grant brothers. I believe they both went to DeMatha. Shout out to Victor Oladipo. Anyways, I know they're from the DMV. I just put my whole foot in my mouth, so we're going to take this as a cue to end this week's show.
Yes.
Hope that you guys enjoyed that. Again, be on the lookout for our Thursday show, Shoot the Shot. We'll talk more NBA stuff. But for Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to the Six Man Show. As always, we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Six Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. Please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It would really help us out a lot. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram @Six Man Show and like us on Facebook. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic.